Welcome to the Health Coach Nation podcast. My name is Hailey Rowe, and I'm a sales and marketing coach and LinkedIn lead generation service provider. I work with health, life, and mindset coaches and online service-based business owners to help them get more sales, shift their time to the client-generating activities instead of just the busy work, and overcome that social media overwhelm. Let's get into the show. If you feel like your marketing plan is throwing spaghetti at the wall, you're not sure what to prioritize in your business, and you find yourself going down rabbit holes and getting shiny object syndrome, I want to invite you to my free workshop on October 22nd. We're going to be covering exactly how you can plan your week and break down your marketing plan to focus on the sales driving activities instead of the busy work, and how to make sure that you're continuing to refine and improve your plan, as well as stay focused and not go down the shiny object syndrome rabbit hole roller coaster. So if you want to come live, you can even get coached and ask questions. It's going to be on October 22nd. The way that you can sign up is by going to my website at haileyrowe.com. And I will be sending out the Zoom link to my email list. So you have to get on my email list by opting in at haileyrowe.com. Basically, you're going to get a pop-up that says, do you want the free niche marketing training? That's one of my freebies. You can opt in there, or you can opt in on my homepage if you scroll down for my free niche marketing training. And if you're signed up for that, you will get the notifications about the upcoming live workshop because I'll be sending out the Zoom link to my email list. Can't wait to see you there, and I will be ready to tackle your questions. I am live, and today we're going to talk about tips to stand out as a coach. One of the things that many coaches feel when they come into the online world is that it's very saturated and there's already so many coaches, and who would want to work with me? But the truth is, coaching is actually really not a saturated market. I bet you if you go to a barbecue or you go to the airport and you're on your flight, you might be one of the only coaches on the flight. You might be one of the only coaches at the barbecue. So it's really not that crowded if you think about it. And just like how with podcasters, the stats show that only a certain number of people actually make it past their 7th episode as a podcast host, it's kind of similar in coaching. A lot of people give up. So it's really not that crowded in the coaching world, especially at the top of the field, meaning the most successful coaches, it's like, it's not as saturated as you think. So my first tip for you, if you really want to stand out in this industry, is to not give up and just stick around long enough to where actually it's pretty easy to stand out. That's what we call staying power. And in order to have staying power, you're going to need to have emotional ability to regulate yourself and not get inconsistent just because you face rejection and it causes you to go off on a spiral and it causes you to start and stop in your business all the time. So you need that emotional stamina. You also need to be able to be adaptable to have staying power and differentiate yourself, meaning you're going to have to pay attention to what your audience is wanting and needing. And you're going to have to make sure your message aligns with that. You're going to have to make sure that you're addressing that in your marketing. You're addressing the common concerns and hesitations that people have in order to work with you. And it also means if you're going to have staying power, you're going to need time management skills. You're going to have to know how to decide, make decisions quickly, implement things quickly, and not just consume information. So that's the first thing is, if you want to stand out, part of it is, I would say half of it is just having staying power and being consistent. The other part of standing out is willingness. And what I mean by willingness is you have to be willing to go out there and serve people, go out there and give value, go out there and do a free talk without knowing for sure what the exchange is going to be, how many clients you're going to get from it, how many, calls you're going to book from it. The more willing you are, the more you will be somebody who succeeds in your industry. So what I mean by that is you have to be willing to do things before you feel ready, before you feel that they are perfect. And
you also have to be willing to treat people with a lot of service energy and not always just thinking about, well, if I don't get anything from this, it was a waste. Because the truth is, in business, you're going to have a lot of things that compound over time, and you're going to want to have what we call like an ecosystem of opportunities you've planted, an ecosystem of seeds you've planted for a garden, because we don't know when one flower is going to sprout, and we want to have a lot of them planted so that we know at least at all times there's at least one flower sprouting, right? So having that willingness is really, really important. And if you've caught yourself in the past thinking of this like a day job where, well, I want to just know that if I do these things, I get my salary, you really have to let go of that mindset. You have to ask yourself, what am I bringing from my old jobs into this business that are not serving me? I had a client who was a nurse or was a pharmacist in the past, and then I had another client who was an engineer, and they started their own coaching businesses. And one of the things that was really tripping them up and causing them to not stand out or put things out there is they were so deathly afraid of making a mistake or trying something without it being fully thought out, or, they were so afraid of like trying something because in the past, in their past job role, if they tried something and it was a mistake, people's lives were at risk. If they were a pharmacist or if they were a nurse, or for my engineering client, he would get in big, big trouble if something wasn't super accurate. Versus starting a business, you have to have creativity to stand out. You have to try things to stand out. You have to see what lands with your audience to stand out. And if you are deathly afraid of doing anything to the point where it's causing you analysis paralysis forever, and you're not willing to put yourself out there without knowing for sure what's going to happen, you're going to be stuck. And you're definitely going to hide and not stand out. So that's a really important point, is drop any past stories from your past jobs when you enter this job as a coach. And the other thing when it comes to standing out is we really need volume. So just like I said, you need to have a lot of seeds planted so that if one of them takes longer than the others to grow, you're not just hung up on that one thing. So we need volume of lead generation. We need volume of value you're putting out there and nurturing that you're doing. We need a volume of discovery calls so that you don't need every single one to convert and you don't bring that needy, graspy energy. And we need volume of an email list. Like, we need a lot of people on your list. Now, there is a thing known as quality over quantity. So I have clients who, one of my clients had only I think 600 followers, and she was having 5K months and then 8K months in her business. So she didn't have to have millions of followers to be successful, but she had quality leads over quantity. Another one of my clients hosted a webinar, and I think she had for the very first time 6 participants, but she booked 2 or 3 of them as clients, which is a crazy amazing conversion rate. So quality does matter. And if you can think about it as I am working towards every day, shift the goal from I need to get my next client today, shift the goal to I want to build my 1,000 true fans. I don't know if you've ever heard of that from, I think Keith Kelly or Kevin Kelly is his name. But he talks about how if you have 1,000 true fans who all pay you $100 a month, all of a sudden that's a pretty great business, right? So you don't need millions of followers. You try to work towards your 1,000 true fans and quality over quantity, but we do want to be striving for volume over time. We do want to be layering more and more lead gen in and doing it better and better and systematizing it more and more so that you can have staying power and stand out in your business, and also know that no matter what, you have that confidence that your business is legit, right? You have that confidence that it's full-time, right? There comes a time in your business where you hit that, where you're like, okay, I know, while I can't predict the future of everything, I know that this is my full-time job. I know it's been consistent enough. I know that, this is, you kind of get that confidence achieved over time. The other thing to stand out is making sure that you believe in yourself. So if you're going to stand out in your industry, you better believe that you have what it takes to keep showing up to your business. You have the traits you need, you have the qualities you need, you believe in yourself, and you believe in your ability to honor your commitments you make for yourself and discipline yourself to do your business plan. That's going to be really important, because if you can't ever keep any commitments to yourself and you don't trust that you are someone who shows up and someone who is a successful person in your nature, you are going to struggle, and you're also going to blow around with the wind when it comes to your marketing plan. You're going to just hear something that sounds good and just immediately float to that and then jump to something else, because you just have no, you're needing something outside of you to enforce that belief in yourself, and that leaves you unstable. So we have to be stable in yourself and your traits and your ability to be successful, and use your brain when it comes to making decisions, as far as not just jumping to something because you see everybody else doing it. If you really want to differentiate yourself, you got to believe in yourself, right? People are attracted to people who feel confident, right? The other thing to stand out is you have to have belief in your service, your offer, and your industry. So if you are somebody who feels like the power of coaching and the ripple effect of coaching and how it impacts somebody's life, and you know that that is something that more people need in their life or want in their life, and you feel like it's your job, like you have the secret to the world and you want to share it everywhere, you're going to succeed in coaching, because you're so grounded in believing in it that you're not selling something phony. You're not feeling pushy. You're not feeling like this is all about me. You're actually more mission driven, and people like to join a mission. People like to be a part of something and feel a part of something, and like when you focus on the impact of what it is that you're selling, as opposed to just selling the features and, being really pushy about, you need to buy these coaching sessions from me. But when you're more so focused on the transformation of it, the mission of it, how it impacts somebody's life, and you love sharing that with people, that is a way to stand out, because people want to be a part of that. They're like, your energy is contagious, right? The other thing is your industry. A lot of us start to feel bad about the coaching world because there's certain people within the coaching world who kind of tarnish the reputation of coaching, which is a bummer. But what we need to remember is that there's good guys in this industry too, and focus on the power of when there are good guys doing the jobs, and you want to be one of those good guys doing the job, and make sure that you're not letting the negative connotation with the industry cause you to hide, because the number one way to not stand out is to hide. So we have to believe in our industry. We have to believe there's good people out there doing good things, and we have to be one of those people, so that we're changing the definition of the industry. We are being the example within the industry. And the other thing you have to believe in is what makes your process better or different. So if you're not sure within your offer, like if somebody said to you, hey, what makes your offer successful? What makes it a reason why you think I should do it? You better be able to answer that question. So for example, for my Inner Circle program, one of the things that I share is I work with a lot of type A personalities. I work with a lot of people who are doing this business not just for the laptop lifestyle, but because they want to be home with their families. They're a very wholesome person. They want to align with the job that they do. And so the community you're going to meet in this program are probably going to be just like you. They're probably a little type A. They're probably very, family oriented. They're probably somebody who's not just doing this for vain reasons of I want to just live the laptop lifestyle. And so that is a little differentiator. The other thing that's a differentiator is my framework. I have a framework called Grow Your Business the Fast Way. It's an acronym that stands for followers, action, sales, time management, and transformation. And I explain on my discovery calls what that entails and how I work with clients and how we customize that roadmap for them. But the framework itself helps people grasp what my program teaches and how it's different from other programs. And if you are curious about the FAST framework and you want to read more about it, I have a whole blog on it. It's haileyrowe.com/framework, I believe. But anyways, so we make sure I customize my framework to the client, but those are some general topics that they can wrap their head around about what kind of things I work on with clients. So the marketing, the sales, the time management, the mindset, etc. So my framework can help me stand out. The other thing that I shared that is standout is that my program's not cookie cutter. So I have clients doing different marketing methods. We're not all doing Instagram. We're not all doing LinkedIn. Some clients are doing LinkedIn. Other clients are doing local. And the beauty of that is that we align the marketing choice we pick to your strengths, to what you feel you can stick with, to what niche you're choosing to help and where they hang out and what makes the most sense for that, things like that. The other thing that I hear that that you can do to find out your differentiator points is listen to what your clients say about you. So one of the things that my clients have said to me is that you are natural, or like you are so good at knowing exactly what to say in every situation. Like when you get certain questions or objections, or you have to prepare for a podcast interview or things like that, or you need to know what to say in a collab pitch. Like one of the things I hear from clients is like, you always just make it so easy. And that's one of my differentiators I share. Another differentiator I've shared from clients when they've told me this is they say, I'm the Mary Poppins of business resources. At least 2 clients have said, I'm like Mary Poppins. I come in and I'm like, oh, I have something for that. I got you. Here's how we should do this. Here's the template for this. So it is something that I have used now as one of my differentiators. So that's another tip. If you're trying to figure out what makes you stand out, listen to what other people tell you about what you're a whiz at, what you're so good at naturally that sometimes you don't even see because you're so in it or you just think it's so easy. But other people are like, how do you do that? Right? That can be some of your differentiator points. And the other thing you want to just make sure you believe in is your process. So I am a big fan of not just saying you do coaching sessions and you just do coaching. I think it's a good idea to have some kind of system or phases you work through with clients, or pillars of your program, or blueprint that is adaptable based on the client, but you have like a backbone of what your program actually is that allows people to tangibly understand how coaching works. Because if we just say we do coaching, we have a conversation, we do coaching sessions, you're not differentiating yourself. You're just like any other coach who charges X dollars per hour, and the person is going to just go compare you to other people and find the cheapest coach per hour. And that's not the kind of people we want to attract, and it's also not what we want to be doing or selling. We want to be selling a transformation. We want to be helping our clients get to an end goal, or transform something specific in their life. And so in order to help people see that and see the vision, we need a way to communicate coaching outside of just saying it's this many dollars per session. That is a for sure way to not stand out, right? So the thing is, when it comes to standing out, I think a lot of people overthink it. They think I have to have this super fancy brand message and vision and logo and all the things, but really at the end of the day, what stands out is how you treat people, how consistent you are in showing up and staying in the field that you've chosen and sticking with it, and having the beliefs in yourself, in your industry, in how you lead people to the outcome you lead with, having some kind of framework, and of course listening to the feedback you get to get clearer on what does make you stand out. Listen to your clients, listen to your practice clients. What do they say about you that you just make so easy, and why they want to work with you? That's another pro tip I'll leave you with, is make sure your onboarding form has a question about why did they choose you as opposed to other coaches, and that will give you so much insight about what makes you different and unique. The last thing I'll say, just to give you one more example, is sometimes your values and your hobbies can be a part of your differentiator. So for me, I sing in a wedding band sometimes. I sub for 2 wedding bands. I used to do it fully in one wedding band like every weekend, and then I got a little tired, so now I sub for 2 bands on occasion. And a lot of people have said, I like that you're a performer because you're really good at helping me with like video confidence, or also bringing in like, how do you present yourself, things like that. How do you help that? Can you help me overcome imposter syndrome or nerves that I get from like public speaking and things like that? And I can really speak from experience because I've performed in front of many people and I've gotten very nervous in the past and I've had to work through that. So I coach a lot of clients on that stage fright type of thing with speaking and all that kind of stuff. So just another example. All right, so if you are curious about my next live free workshop coming up in October, it is going to be announced soon to my email list. So you will want to be on my email list if you want to come to my time management workshop coming up. We're going to be going through how do you set goals that are actually achievable and break them down in your business and make sure that you're planning your day and your week to focus on the client generating activities and not just busy work, right? So that's going to be in October. I'll be announcing the date soon to my email list. You can sign up for my email list at haileyrowe.com. If you're listening to this after the fact, if it's after October 2025, just subscribe to my email list anyways, because I'm going to be doing more and more workshops as we go along. And you can always reach out to me if you're hearing this later for the replay. All right. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thanks so much for listening to this podcast, and if it's really helpful for you, I'd really appreciate if you share it and or leave a written podcast review. This tells the podcast sites that our show is useful and it will be promoted to more people that way. Thanks again.